One of the most often left comments when I was building this crankshaft alignment apparatus, when I was building that, one of the most often left comments was, why not just put this crankshaft in the lathe over there between two centers? And that would be well enough to do if I had two centers. And as you can see, these Internationals, the Type M, has a grease cup in the crankshaft end. And these are, this is probably true to the crankshaft, but in order to get a live center or either a dead center in there to run true is iffy at best. It just does not work, even to the point of threading. It's a left-hand thread, and even to thread a bung and then put a center in that and then put it in here and then put it between two centers, it would only work on one crankshaft, and you put it on the other one, or either thread position. So it just does not work on this type crankshaft. Also, this is the other end, and as you can see, I did this one where it's shiny, but it had been done before. Someone had put a gear puller onto the end of the crankshaft in order to pull the flywheel off, and it's kind of askew. And then I come along and put a crankshaft gear puller on this crankshaft. This is original center to pull the flywheel off, and I even got it a little bit more off center. So to put these crankshafts in, and I have yet to find one that has a perfectly good usable center. I just have not found that. And that's to clarify that the reason that I don't put these between two centers in the lathe to check this. It just does not work. Even if I chuck this in the chuck and then put a center in the other end, even on this particular one right here, I'll show it to you. Take it out, turn it around, put it back up in here. And this one is someone, or for whatever reason, could be that this run against a piece of metal or something, but it has worn the end of this crankshaft away to the point where it has just a very, well, you know, you'd call that there's a hole there, but it's not center drilled, so the crankshaft is worn off that much. It just does not work. The apparatus is much the easier of the two options, and they would be a situation where I would put this into the lathe and find a new center. They would be a situation I would do that on a different brand, probably, where I was going to do it on each end. A little bit of 180, followed up maybe a little 240, and just the polish, very, very smooth. And on that last polish, you want to have some paper that is wore plumb total out. And just following up on this is you put the crankshaft in the wood blocks in the vise. After you do the file work, if you got some divots, a divot is okay. You do not want a high place. Any nick or something, you file the high place off and leave the divot. Don't try to file the divot out. The undercut, polish it very lightly. The less amount of metal, it's easy to take metal off, and it's hard to put metal back on. So the least amount to clean that up, use refrain, stop before going too far. But this here is cleaning up quite nicely. And I just got a couple of wood blocks there in the vise. That's all to protect it. And I think we talked about this before. You polish it right here till you get shiny, and then you turn it 1/4 of a turn and do it again, like so. 1/4 of a turn, and go at it again. Okay, and then you would turn it. You would, and it's better to just do one shaft at a time. Do this one, and do the throw, and then do this one, or do the throw and then do this, and it don't matter which one, but only work on one shaft at a time. You will have better results than trying doing them all three at one time. But you would turn it 1/4 of a turn and brighten it again, and then turn it another 1/4 of a turn and brighten it again, and then you would turn it halfway between that and polish it again. And use common sense and look at the piece of metal that you're slickening up, and just use common sense. That's a good guideline on all of these. And I done did the file work on that there journal right there, and worked it down there with that 180, and then followed it up with this 220, and it's done worn out. So it'll be a pretty good polish. I'm finished with this, and or I wouldn't be going back and forth to all of them. Just kind of a little update. The timing mark on this one here is missing, where this crankshaft got off to the side, and this gear rubbed against the inside there, and it wore that punch mark there, and most of the numbers gone. It was worn where it had side plate from one side to the other. So I will put a new punch mark right there, kind of reaffirm that. And I mean, this is good to go. Just put a new mark on that gear right there, so we would know where to line that up. I'll highlight that with some white paint just in a little bit. But first, we got to get this grease hole in the center of this crankshaft. We got to get that cleaned out really good. And you see, I got that piece of baling wire. I got it run through yonder, and then I got it bent over there, and a piece of cloth there that's been soaked in some lacquer thinner. And we got to bring that through there several times to get that old junk grease out of there. And you see that we get it in there and get it started and pull that through there. Y'all see that? Wow, that's nothing like some of them are. But I'll just repeat this whole process there. Put that back through there again. Put on a new cloth there with some lacquer thinner on there, and we'll do that until the cloth comes out clean. Yes. See, to start that engine up and push that grease onto that there bearing, it would be a death penalty to the engine. And actually, that one right there that's not the worst that you will encounter. But you know, put some new grease in there.